Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Broadcasting Network, 10:50 a.m., following broadcasts in 102.3 FM and 106.5 FM. We are serving the world one household at a time. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Up Connect, and Kimiator Peak Performance Coaching.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. Welcome back to Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. Our next guest is someone I'm very pleased to introduce you to. He's been a very close friend of mine and a business partner for decades. Interestingly enough, we're not going to talk today about the investments we've done together. We actually together have done many very lucrative real estate and land development projects together. But we're going to talk about something entirely different about which I know next to nothing, and that is Equestrian Investment. Steve Holgate is our guest, and he's calling in from his ranch, his horse ranch down in Florida. Steve, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So, as I mentioned, you and I have known each other a long time, but we've been more on the real estate side, making money doing investments. But this is something that interests me precisely because I know so little about it. And when we talked a little bit, you mentioned you've not only had horses as pets and for fun, but you've also owned parts of horses as investments. So can you tell us, what is that about? You mentioned you owned a mare at one time. What does that mean?
Well, back in 2008, after making a whole bunch of money in real estate, my wife and I decided to buy a horse farm out in Ocala, Florida. Ocala is the horse capital of the world, and they breed several thoroughbreds here that have won the Kentucky Derby, etc. And there's also quarter horses, and then there's a lot of Pacifinos. Pacifino horses are a special breed that has an extra gait. When they walk, you don't have to do what's called post, which means stand up in your stirrups so you don't get beat up as you're sitting in the saddle. You can sit in the saddle and hold a glass of water and ride a Pacifino, and you won't spill a drop. They're that smooth. So my wife and I invested in Pacifinos and bought this 120-acre horse farm in Ocala, Florida, back in 2008. And we knew hardly anything about horses at that time, but we bought a bunch of mares, and we bought a stallion, and then we bought half interest in a world champion mare by the name of Luna Llena de la Rosa. And the reason we bought half is because she was that expensive. So I had a partner in Southern California where I came from, and I was the 50% owner of Luna Llena here in Ocala, and we kept her here in Ocala. And we bred her, we showed her, and we constantly were working with her.
Okay, and the end game in that, when you invest in that horse, how are you getting a return? What is the product that you're getting out the back end?
Well, the main way you get return on horses is, A, if it's a stallion, you would sell its semen.
Okay.
And or B, if it's a mare, you would sell its embryos. And let me explain that. Pacifino breeds, you can use artificial semination. So you would have somebody that would say, I would like one of Luna's babies. So we would set it up where through a vet, the owner or the buyer of the embryo would choose any stallion in the world they wanted and buy the semen for anything from $5,000 to $6,000, $7,000, and then send it to our vet, and our vet would inject our mare Luna Llena with this semen from the stallion, and 10 days later, the vet would check with a microscope and see if it took, and if it took, they could actually see the embryo, the little baby horse at 10 days old. And then if it was a healthy embryo, the vet would place that embryo after removing it from Luna and put it in what was called a recipient mare, a mare that had no relationship at all to Luna or the stallion, but it was going to be the carrier of that baby, and that baby would be in that recipient mare for 11 months and then give birth. But that baby that came out had the bloodlines of Luna and the stallion, and then would go on to be a show horse.
So
and
that's
the
a
reason
surrogate
we did
mother.
that is we could sell several embryos, as you can imagine, because Luna would come in heat, a couple times a month. So we could sell several embryos in a year without disturbing her show quality. And so you could still show her, you could breed her, pull her embryos out, put her in a recipient mare, and then still continue showing her, and she'd be in perfect health.
So she doesn't have the stress of carrying a full pregnancy and delivery. You basically pull that embryo out when it's still small, and it's minimal stress on her.
Exactly. And gives you the ability to do it on multiple occasions in any 12-month period of time.
And then when the horse is born from the surrogate, is that horse then sold, or have you sold the embryo to someone else before it's even born?
We have done both. We have selected world-class stallions and bred Luna ourselves and then pulled the embryo and put her in a recipient mare on our farm and raised take care of the mare until the baby was born, and then we would work with the baby and then sell the baby, or we would just sell the embryo to somebody else who had the recipient mare, and then they would take the recipient mare and let the baby be born on their farm. So we've done both.
Okay. Now, if someone wants to invest in horses, do they have to have a horse farm so they can keep and raise and take care of the horse themselves, or can they be a silent investor?
They can be silent investors, of course. The most probably most prevalent silent investors are in the in the thoroughbred industry. They actually form LLCs, and the owner of the stallion or the owner of the mare in the thoroughbred world would be the managing member of the LLC, and then the investors would be the members with no liability other than their capital. And if that horse, went on to win big purses, they would get a portion of it. I have a friend locally here. His name is Todd Fletcher, and he's one of the world famous thoroughbred trainers right now. And he told me that out of possibly 10,000 thoroughbreds that are born, one may be good enough to go on to win the Kentucky Derby. So it's very, very, very competitive. My understanding is, and I've never looked into it, but a lot of investors get into investing in thoroughbreds for the tax losses rather than the profit.
So they're not planning on winning; they're counting on losing in order to have a tax write-off.
That's probably a safer bet for them because the odds are probably better in Las Vegas. So yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Now, in your case, though, since you're earlier in that upstream on that, when you sell the embryos, you're getting a price because you don't know what that horse will end up being at that point. You're getting paid for those embryos on the assumption that they may or may not be good horses, but you're still getting paid either way. Is that right?
That's exactly what. When we had our vet pull we actually get paid $30,000 or $40,000 was the typical fee we got when the person said, "I want to buy an embryo," and then they would meet with our vet, and then they would provide the semen of the stallion of their choice to our vet, and then we would already be paid. And our guarantee was just one thing, that the baby would be born alive. So if for some reason something happened to that embryo, then we would do it again for that same $30,000 or $40,000. So
you'd have to buy another batch of semen and redo everything. Okay, so
correct. They would.
Not us. Okay. Now
they bought the semen, they paid the vet bills, and they paid us the $30,000 to $40,000 that we got.
And how many of these embryos do you have to sell to recuperate your original investment on the mare?
Well, we bought 50% of Luna Llena with my Southern California investor partner, and we paid $250,000 for 50% interest. And with and we probably sold, in probably 5 years, we sold over 30 or 40 embryos. So Luna Llena was very profitable because she was a world-class mare, and she's on the cover of magazines and everything. Finally, a Colombian bought her, and I actually recouped my initial investment back because of her price had gone up so high.
So you not only got the money back when you resold the horse, you made all the money in between on all the embryos. So that was a pretty good return on investment.
On that one, yes. I could tell you all kinds of other stories about other mares I bought.
Okay.
Didn't make any money.
Okay. And now the other horses you have, the Pacifinos, are those really more just pet type horses, trail riding horses, fun horses?
Well, ours are trail riding and fun, but the Pacifino breed, they are actually show horses, number one, and then trail horses, number two. That people buy Pacifinos mainly because they want to show them and watch their gait, which is just unbelievable. If you've never seen a Pacifino horse gait, you got to Google Pacifinos and watch it. It's very amazing, actually.
Now, if I wanted to get into this, where would I go? I mean, there's not like a storefront investment firm that says horses are us or something. Where do I go to invest in a horse?
I've got a couple for sale.
I mean, if the average person that's out there listening to this,
and
where would they go?
The other thing, Steve, is I can guarantee that I can make you a millionaire by getting into the horse business. You just have to start with $2 or $3 million, though.
Okay, I was going to say, go from a billionaire to a millionaire. Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like buying a boat. Okay.
kind of like it.
Yeah, but
you have to feed it.
Yeah, I was going to feed it, and you have to scoop up after it, right?
Yeah, you do.
Thank
you very much. I do that.
Now, you live on a horse ranch, so this is obviously an extension of your personal lifestyle. You and Karen's lifestyle is on a horse ranch in Ocala, the center of horses for the country, and enjoying horses. So this is a natural fit for you. Is this something you would recommend to somebody who is just looking at an investment opportunity and really isn't necessarily sold on horses or not a hobbyist?
I would say that for anybody really to get into it and make it profitable and fun, they really need to love horses, and they really need to love the animal first and then the sport second.
Okay.
All too often, especially in the Pacifino arena, we see so many people that are into it just for the sport, and they really don't give a gosh darn about the horse. And we're not that way. Our 5 horses are pets to us, and they're special, and we baby them. But they're still good trail horses, and we've got 3 that are excellent show horses as well, but to us first, they're family.
Great. We're running out of time. Thank you, Steve. Steve Holgate's been our guest talking about equestrian investing. I think it's fascinating, and this is just another way to have a fabulous lifestyle and make investing a part of it. We'll be right back after this. This is Steve Matley on Fabulous Lifestyle Radio.
We are live on KCAA Broadcasting Network, 10:50 a.m., following broadcasts in 102.3 FM and 106.5 FM. We are serving over 5 million households in the Inland Empire, North County, San Diego, Orange County, and San Gabriel Valley. We are serving the world one household at a time. We are also in iHeart, Spotify, Tiki Live, Ustream, Apple, iTunes, and anywhere with your favorite podcast. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Up Connect, and Kim Yater Peak Performance Coaching.